As some of you probably already know, I'm a big fan of doing deadlifts, one leg deadlifts, okay, which should just be like this. Again, you can use a dumbbell or one or two, or a kettlebell, or you can do traditional deadlifts, okay, which is with the bar here, and you just pull straight up, okay. Me personally, used to have some nagging, reoccurring hamstring injuries, and I think a lot of it was just, I did a lot of training for when I was playing competitively for my frontal chain, right? So basically your quads, this is, you're always moving forwards, doing your running, or all your movement. So actually trying to work more on the posterior chain. So glutes, hamstring, calves is something that you have to really pay attention to, because if you just do a lot of wall sits, a lot of squats, a lot of stuff like this, even just a lot of plank squash, a lot of that's going to be dominated with quads. Same thing if you're doing spin classes, okay? So the problem with that is if your quads get too strong relative to your hamstrings, so I believe it's about a 2/3 strength ratio, hamstrings to quads, so they don't need to be exact same strength ability, but if you don't train the posterior chain, then you're more prone to get injured, and obviously you're just going to have weaker movements in certain patterns in squash, and I think every athlete, really important to make sure you do some deadlifts. So I'm going to take you through a few different other ways. So I already demonstrated kind of, the one leg deadlift. Again, you can with kettlebell, with one on each side, or free weights. But that's a great one just to start, is just doing that one leg deadlift. So you don't need equipment if you're stuck at home, don't have access to the gym. Basically, think about, you can have a slight bend in the knee, okay? Stay at a spot on the floor to help you balance, and then you're just gonna pivot at the hips. Try to keep your hips parallel to the floor, your leg that's pointing up, that toe is pointing to the ground, okay? And then you try to come back down. And I really love that because you're doing unilateral training on one side and then the other. And for me, it's just much more difficult for me to actually do a one leg deadlift on the right leg because it's a lot stronger, but the balance is a lot poorer. So it's great to do, traditional deadlifts, or I'll show you with the trap bar deadlifts as well. But I think it's really important, I always at least once or twice a week, put some one leg deadlifts into a circuit that I'm doing. And that's what I do with a lot of juniors and varsity athletes that I coach. So I definitely think you should check out the rest of this and make sure you're doing enough posterior chain training. Okay, today I'm going to teach you how to use the deadlift trap bar. You're normally sitting in the far corner by where the punching bag is. This is a really great exercise for people to use when they're doing deadlifts. Basically, you have these handles which are sitting up higher than a normal bar would be with weights on it. So you don't have to get as low. So it's maybe if you have a bad back, it'll be a little bit easier maybe to get started doing deadlifts because you're only going to have to go down to like here versus right down to the ground. So it's definitely going to help people if they have limited range of motion or maybe some back issues. Also, another reason why this is an effective training tool for your hamstrings, your glutes, posterior chain, is because the handles are here. So instead of normally where you're doing deadlifts, the bar's in front of you and you're pushing like this, you can see that right now, I'm going to be less balanced. So having the handles here, it's much easier to kind of keep your weight centered in the middle of your foot. So it is easier to kind of pull straight up, stay balanced when you're doing your deadlifts. So there are some benefits. You can also use it this way as well. So just because maybe you want to have the handles here and you feel more comfortable doing your deadlift like this, it doesn't mean you can't. If you want to actually get lower, you can just flip it around, have the handles, lifted handles upside down, and now when you're going to go get the bar, it's going to be a little bit lower. So you're actually going to get into a much better, more similar position, I'd say, to using a normal bar to do your deadlift. So let me put a couple of plates on this, and then I'll show you how it looks. Okay, so I have a couple of plates on each side, and I'm going to stand in the middle, obviously, just to do my deadlift. I'm going to go down. This time I have the handles up. Okay, I'm going to make sure my back's engaged. I don't want to reach down like that, curve my spine. That's how you get injured your back doing deadlifts. So just going to go down, have a bit of a knee bend. You see I'm here. If this was flipped around, I'd be going quite a bit lower. So this is higher to pull from than a regular bar. So I'm going to go from here and then straight up and then straight down. Just like that. Okay, so very good for posterior chain. Let me flip it around, and then you can take a look, see what it looks like on the other side. Okay, so I flipped around the trap bar, and you can see this is going to be quite a bit lower. So I'm going to have to get much more engaged in your lower body to pull this up. So it's actually going to take quite a bit of quad strength as well as hamstrings to get in that position. So down, significantly lower. Okay, I'll film a few from the side, and then you can take a look and see a difference in the angle when you're doing your deadlift, because it's definitely different when I'm using the high bar, the lower bar, or even just not the trap bar. If I'm using a regular standard bar for doing a deadlift, again, my posture is going to be quite a bit different going down here versus here. Okay, so you can see there'll be quite a bit difference in the hips and the back at the angle there. All right, I'm going to set up a regular bar and show you the difference in the posture from the side of using a trap bar versus a regular bar.